Okay, so have you ever noticed that sometimes you like do the exact opposite of what you know you should be doing?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
It's like, that internal tug of war,
Yes.
and it's like, guess who usually wins? Not the productive goal crushing me. So today we are going to be tackling self-sabotage head-on with Brianna Wiest's The Mountain Is You as our guide.
Oh, this is a good one.
It is.
This book is a journey, literally and figuratively.
Mhm.
Weist uses the metaphor of climbing a mountain to represent the obstacles we face when trying to reach our full potential. And she does not shy away from the tough stuff.
No, she doesn't, and that's what I loved about it.
Yeah,
It felt like she was calling me out on all my sneaky little self-sabotaging habit, but in a kind, compassionate way, like a wise friend who's been there.
exactly. She dives deep into the why behind these behaviors, exploring concepts like subconscious commitments, which are basically the underlying needs and desires driving our actions, even when those actions totally contradict our goals.
Okay, I need an example because
Yeah.
that sounds pretty abstract.
Okay, so imagine someone who craves a loving, committed relationship,
Okay,
but keeps sabotaging every chance they get.
right.
On the surface, they might think they want love, but a subconscious commitment to, say, avoiding vulnerability or protecting themselves from potential heartache could be running the show behind the scenes.
So their actions are actually aligning with this deeper hidden need, even if it leads to unhappiness in the long run.
Precisely.
Wow.
And Wiest doesn't just point fingers.
Right.
She gives us tools to excavate these hidden commitments.
Okay.
One powerful takeaway is to pay attention to what consistently makes you unhappy or frustrated.
Okay.
Write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Then ask yourself, what need or desire am I trying to fulfill? Even if it's in a roundabout, self-sabotaging way. It's like becoming a detective of your own psyche.
I like that. Okay, that's a challenge I'm willing to take on. But let's be real. Uncovering these subconscious commitments is probably only half the battle, right?
Yeah, probably.
What do we do once we've identified them?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
Wiest argues that radical change is often necessary, not just tweaking things around the edges, but a willingness to step outside those cozy comfort zones and confront those fears head on.
Easier said than done, right?
Oh, totally.
I feel like we're wired to avoid discomfort.
But Wiest reminds us that growth happens outside of that cozy little bubble. She even has a great quote about this.
Ooh, I love a good quote.
Your new life is going to cost you your old one.
Wow, that's powerful. It's about being prepared to let go, to shed old habits, relationships, maybe even beliefs that no longer serve the person we're becoming.
Exactly.
Wow.
Now, I know this can sound scary, so a practical step from the book is to break down these big, daunting changes into smaller, manageable steps.
Okay.
Instead of trying to overhaul your entire life overnight, focus on one specific area where you're unhappy and brainstorm tiny actions you can take today to start shifting things.
So if I'm miserable in my job, instead of impulsively quitting, maybe I start by updating my resume or reaching out to someone in my network for advice.
There you go.
Baby steps leading to bigger transformation.
Exactly. Remember, you're essentially rewiring your brain, creating new neural pathways.
Yes.
That takes time and consistent effort.
And speaking of rewiring our brains, this next concept from the book really resonated with me. The difference between intuition and intrusive thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
We've all got that inner critic whispering doubts and fears, but how do we tell if it's actually our intuition trying to guide us or just our anxiety spiraling?
That's a good question. And Wiest says to pay attention to the feeling associated with the thought.
Okay.
Intuition tends to feel calm, clear, like a gentle nudge in the right direction. Intrusive thoughts, on the other hand, trigger anxiety, fear, maybe even shame. They're like that annoying mosquito buzzing around your head, determined to steal your peace.
Okay, so next time I'm wrestling with a decision, I need to pause and check in with my body. If it feels like calm clarity, maybe my intuition is speaking. But if my chest is tight and my mind is racing with worst-case scenarios, it's probably my anxiety trying to take the wheel.
Exactly. Learning to differentiate between these two is essential. It's like developing a stronger internal compass so we can navigate those tricky emotional landscapes with more confidence.
This is resonating with me so much. What else did we highlight from The Mountain Is You?
Well, Wiest emphasizes that mastering our emotions is crucial to breaking free from self-sabotage.
Okay.
She believes we all possess this poor version of ourselves that whispers doubts and feeds our fears. But we also have the power to cultivate a richer version that embraces challenges and pushes us towards growth.
I love that. Okay, but how do we quiet that poorer version and amplify the voice of the richer one?
It takes practice.
Okay.
One technique from the book is to literally imagine those two versions as separate entities.
Hmm.
When that negative self-talk creeps in, visualize your richer self stepping forward, challenging those limiting beliefs with positive affirmations or past examples of your resilience.
So it's like we're actively choosing which voice we're going to listen to and empower.
Exactly.
I'm ready to give that richer version a megaphone.
Me too. Remember, The Mountain is You is all about recognizing that we're often our own biggest obstacle.
Right.
It's not about blame, but about taking radical responsibility for our thoughts, feelings, and ultimately our actions.
And that can feel overwhelming.
Yes.
But Wiest also reminds us that we don't have to do it all at once. Small, consistent changes can lead to massive transformations over time.
Absolutely. And another one of my favorite quotes from the book is, you start to let go on the day you take one step toward building a new life, and then let yourself lie in bed and stare at the ceiling and cry for as many hours as you need.
I love that it's a permission slip to feel all the feels, to embrace the messiness of growth. It's not always going to be pretty or comfortable,
Right.
but it's in those moments of discomfort that we truly break free.
Totally.
And to back up our enthusiasm, The Mountain is You has a solid 4.08 star rating on Goodreads. Tons of readers praising its raw honesty and practical advice.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling stuck, frustrated, or like you're constantly getting in your own way, I highly recommend checking it out.
Now, we've talked about identifying those subconscious commitments and the need for radical change, but let's dig deeper into the why behind self-sabotage. Why do we cling to these patterns even when they cause us pain?
Right, because logically we know we should be doing things differently, but something keeps holding us back.
Yeah.
It's like there's this invisible force pulling the strings.
Wiest calls this excavating trauma, and it's such a powerful concept. She argues that many of our self-sabotaging behaviors stem from past hurts, disappointments, maybe even traumas we've buried deep down.
So it's like we're subconsciously trying to protect ourselves from reliving those painful experiences, even if it means staying stuck in the present.
That's exactly it. And the key to breaking free is to bring those subconscious patterns into the light of awareness.
Okay.
It's not about dwelling on the past or blaming anyone.
Right.
It's about understanding how those experiences have shaped us and then choosing to move forward in a more empowered way.
Okay, so how do we actually do this excavating?
Yeah, it sounds a bit like emotional archaeology.
It does.
Wiest suggests several techniques, including journaling therapy or even mindfulness practices. The goal is to create a safe space to explore those painful memories and emotions, to process them, and ultimately to release their grip on us.
It's like we're gently untangling those knots of past hurt so we can finally move forward with more freedom and clarity.
Now, once we've begun addressing those deeper wounds, the next step is to build resilience.
Okay.
It's about developing the mental and emotional strength to weather those inevitable storms life throws our way.
So it's like we're constructing a stronger foundation for ourselves.
Yeah.
One that can withstand challenges and setbacks without crumbling.
Exactly. And one of the most effective ways to build resilience is through good old-fashioned self-care.
Self-care.
This means prioritizing our physical, emotional, and mental well-being.
So we're talking about things like exercise, healthy eating, getting enough sleep, spending time in nature, engaging in creative activities, basically anything that nourishes and replenishes us.
Absolutely. It's about finding what truly fills your cup and making it a non-negotiable part of your routine. Because when we take care of ourselves, we're better equipped to handle stress, overcome challenges, and make choices that align with our highest good.
This resonates so much. I know when I'm feeling depleted and burnt out, I'm way more likely to fall back into those self-sabotaging patterns. Self-care isn't selfish, it's essential.
It is essential, and Wiest also emphasizes the importance of identifying our core values and living in alignment with them. It's about getting crystal clear on what truly matters to us, so we can make choices that support our goals and aspirations.
I've heard of this before. Is it like making a list of your top 5 values, those guiding principles that shape your beliefs and actions?
Exactly. It could include things like honesty, integrity, compassion, creativity, or a sense of adventure.
Okay.
Once you've identified those core values, the next step is to start making choices that reflect them.
So that might mean saying no to opportunities that don't align with those values, even if they seem tempting on the surface, or surrounding ourselves with people who share those values and support our growth.
Absolutely. It's about creating a life that feels authentic and true to who you are at your core.
Now, you mentioned earlier that Wiest isn't afraid to get real about the challenges of personal growth.
Right.
What are some of the less glamorous aspects she addresses?
Well, she acknowledges that growth can be messy and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's not always about positive affirmations and rainbows. Sometimes it involves facing those shadow parts of ourselves, the fears, insecurities, and limiting beliefs that we've been avoiding.
It's like that saying, the only way out is through.
Exactly. And Wiest reminds us that those moments of discomfort are actually signs that we're on the right track. It means we're stretching, growing, evolving.
So if we're feeling the resistance, that's a good indication that we're pushing up against those old boundaries and creating space for something new to emerge.
Now, another powerful tool Wiest offers is the idea of acting as your highest potential future self.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
It's about envisioning the person you want to become and then making choices in the present that align with that vision.
Okay.
It's like stepping into the shoes of your future self and asking, what would this version of me do in this situation?
So instead of being ruled by our past or our fears, we're letting our future aspirations guide our present actions. I love that.
Wiest believes that when we act as our highest potential future selves, we create a self-fulfilling prophecy. We start attracting the people, opportunities, and experiences that support our growth and transformation.
It's like we're sending a powerful signal to the universe saying, this is who I'm becoming, bring it on.
Exactly. It's about taking radical responsibility for our own destiny and creating a life that feels truly aligned with our deepest desires.
I'm so inspired by this concept. It's a reminder that we have so much more power than we often realize. Yeah, we've explored the why behind self-sabotage, right?
Yeah.
We uncovered those hidden subconscious commitments and even dipped our toes into the idea of radical change. But now,
Yes.
let's get practical. What are some tangible strategies we can use to start climbing our own personal mountains and finally reach the peak of our potential?
Well, one of the most empowering takeaways from the book is the concept of acting as your highest potential future self.
Yes.
We touched on this briefly earlier,
Mm-hmm.
but it's worth diving deeper.
I'm all ears. It sounds like a game changer.
It really is. So imagine stepping into the shoes of the person you dream of becoming,
Okay.
the confident, successful, fulfilled version of you. And then ask yourself, what choices would this future me make?
Okay.
How would they approach this challenge? What habits would they prioritize?
So it's not about pretending to be someone we're not.
Yeah,
It's about tapping into our aspirations and letting them inform our present actions.
I love that.
And the cool thing is when we start acting as our highest potential future selves, we create a self-fulfilling prophecy.
We start attracting the people, the opportunities, and the experiences that support that vision. It's like we're sending a powerful signal to the universe saying, this is who I'm becoming, bring it on.
Okay, that's giving me chills. I can already feel my future self cheering me on. But how do we actually make this a daily practice?
We just suggest starting small, choose one area of your life where you want to see growth, and then make a conscious effort to act as your highest potential future self in that area.
Okay, so if my future self is a fearless entrepreneur, maybe I start by dedicating 30 minutes each day to working on my business idea, even if it feels scary and overwhelming at first.
Exactly. Or if your future self prioritizes healthy habits, maybe you start by replacing that sugary evening snack with a piece of fruit or going for a walk after dinner.
It's about taking those small, consistent actions that align with the vision we have for ourselves. I'm starting to see how this can create a ripple effect of positive change.
Another practical strategy Wiest emphasizes is setting boundaries. Often we self-sabotage because we're afraid of disappointing others or rocking the boat. But Wiest reminds us that setting boundaries is essential for protecting our energy time and emotional well-being. It's about learning to say no to things that drain us or don't align with our values, even if it feels uncomfortable at first.
So it's about prioritizing our own needs and recognizing that we can't pour from an empty cup. It's not selfish, it's self-preservation.
Exactly. And remember, boundaries aren't about being rude or shutting people out. They're about communicating our needs clearly and respectfully and creating healthy, sustainable relationships.
I'm starting to see how all of these strategies work together. We excavate our past traumas, build resilience through self-care, live in alignment with our values, act as our highest potential future selves, and set healthy boundaries. It's like a recipe for personal transformation.
Wiest reminds us that the mountain is you isn't about reaching some mythical destination of perfection. It's about embracing the messiness of growth, the setbacks, the challenges, and celebrating every little victory along the way.
I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for tackling self-sabotage.
Me too. And remember, you are not alone on this journey. We all have mountains to climb, and sometimes we need a little support and encouragement along the way. Share this episode with friends and family who might also be facing their own personal mountains. And let's keep the conversation going in the comments below.
Absolutely. And if you're feeling inspired to dive deeper into Brianna Wiest's work, we highly recommend checking out The Mountain Is You. It's a powerful read that could just change your life. And be sure to leave us a comment and let us know what you thought of this deep dive. And be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And as always, thank you so much for joining us.
See you next time.